Hello, everyone. I am Steve Lott. They call me Steve, the finance guy, and I'm the host of this wonderful webinar brought to you by Cloud IT, and it's brought to you to serve and better help and create much more efficient CPAs, right? And accountants and business people overall. And so we want to use this platform to share ideas, share true insights from professionals who have been here and survived the test of time in this wonderful industry. And today we have the great, the one and only, the business mentor of myself, Martin Einstein. Eisenstein.
Thank you.
Hello, Martin. How's it going?
Very good, very good. I'm
It
delighted.
is so good to hear from you. So Martin and I got to know each other a little backstory. We got to know each other. We are partners of Cloud IT, which is the management remote management firm, staffing firm that supports businesses in all financial areas. And we're growing to all staffing, right? All staffing areas. And so Martin has been instrumental in my business growth with just advice, y'all. When I tell y'all, he has gems after gems. He forgets half the stuff I know, right? More stuff than I even know. And so I want to use this time, guys, to just share some of the insights, just of his genius and everything. And so specifically today, we're going to talk about how to scale the sale for CPA firms. One of the things that we know about CPA firms is that that business and selling is not the easiest, and mostly because we're the experts in the industry, and it's tough to buy experts, right? It's tough to buy experts, and so this business is reliant upon experts. And so one of the things we're going to talk to Martin about is, how do we do that? What are some of the best practices? So I'm going to ask a series of questions just to kind of fill you guys in and let you guys know how to do this thing if you want to do it, and the best way to do it. So, but I do want to start with Martin in the sense of just how did you get into this field? How did you even come across accounting and legal? Oh, he's an attorney, guys, too. Wait a minute. He's also an attorney. So yeah, he has this long thing. How did you get into this, Martin? Talk to me.
So I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I am a practicing CPA. I also am a practicing attorney, and I do both. If you were to ask me what I really am, I would refer you to my official title, which is Martin D. Eisenstein, CPA and attorney at law. I'm a CPA primarily, and I look at things from a CPA vantage point. I've always been interested in numbers. I've always, when I was a kid and I calculated the baseball scores and the averages and all of the percentages. So numbers were something that I really liked. And when I started to study accounting in college, I had a tax professor who made a really strong impression on me. He talked about what opportunities there were in taxes, and the field always fascinated me in terms of the power you had and in terms of casting these reported numbers, which could vary based on your understanding of the strategies involved. Mm-hmm. And the professor also said something that resonated with me. He says, look, tax law is based on accounting principles, but at the bottom line, it's a statute, it's a law. And if you want to work in tax, you might want to consider going to law school. So I was much younger then, and I went to night law school because I thought that it would help me in my tax career, and I became very interested in law just in terms of what it means to us as citizens. And the first courses in law were like the three branches of government, and it opened your eyes to some of the things that are involved in running the country. So, between the two, I got a good background for the tax work, and going out and practicing, I found that tax work was part of a business owner's responsibilities with many other things, and that general business principles not only just went through tax, but through the creation of a profitable business.
Yeah.
And so kind of what I do now is operate as a management consultant in
Mhm.
essence
Mhm.
for my clients and for my practice. And that's what's required to take a CPA practice and improve the value of it.
We are seeing, first off, I love all of that. We are seeing the evolution of the CPA, right? CPAs want to do so much more now at a very early stage, right? So right now you're at this stage and you had so a litany of career and experience, and you are in the space where you can do management and consulting because you've seen so much. And nowadays CPAs want to do management and consulting right off the gate, right? Do you see an issue with that? Do you like it? Do you like the evolution of the new CPA and where it's going and everything else?
Well, I do, because what it does is it kind of strips away the boring and uninteresting parts of it as the public and other CPAs see sometimes what we do. It's not bookkeeping,
That's
it's
good.
not clerical.
Right.
And if you don't have the bookkeeping and clerical, then a business can't function, a business can't be
Right.
sold. So it's the core heart of it. But the CPA is under attack. The CPA is under attack from other unlicensed professionals. The CPA
Mhm.
is under attack from technology. The CPA is under attack now from AI, all
Yeah.
of which make this core business, which has its nuance to it in terms of producing financial statements, but it's essentially a clerical activity. And the client needs it like they need a tax return, but they're not particularly excited by any of it.
Right.
It's how to make money, how to pay less taxes, how does my business get worth more money, when
Mhm.
do I exit? These are the business owner's questions, and only the CPA, in my opinion, can begin to answer them and strategize them. The
Also,
mergers and acquisitions aspect of it.
as a CPA begins to grow their business, I'm a CPA. I want to grow my business.
Mm.
When is the appropriate time? And now I'm really just leaning into your expertise. I'm trying to give people your mentorship that I had. So just walk with me. If I'm a CPA and I'm new and I work for a firm,
Mm.
retention is probably the hardest thing for firms now. Staffing, retention, keeping people because the people, CPAs want to do it on their own. When is the appropriate time for a CPA to say, hey, I'm ready to leave the firm that I work for and I want to start my own? Or is there a balance? Is there?
Well, the CPA has to reach a point where they feel they're competent enough in an area of service, and CPAs can perform many services, that they're ready to do that. That's the easy part, because once you become licensed and once you start to work, everything that you've done from the business law courses that you take to pass the exam that make you a mini lawyer of sorts, from
Absolutely.
the kinds of analysis that you have to do, you have the technical competence to help people. What I think the most important part is that you understand what it takes to attract clients and that you have a basic understanding of what it means to be an entrepreneurial accountant. And the difference between
Expound on that. Expound on that.
yeah,
Mark, golly, that's amazing.
when we work for people, they tell us what to do. It's our job to deliver that work in as good a form as possible, as they had dictated it. Um, it's a little bit different when
Mhm.
you're dealing with clients. Not only do you have to do that, but you have to get the client's agreement that what you're doing makes sense for them. You have to find a solution. You have to execute the
That's
solution, and and that's not even the hardest part of it. The hardest part is the acquisition of the client.
it is. It is. It
But
is.
Steve, what happens is people do good work. CPAs almost invariably do good work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when they do, they get known and they start to attract business. And when they start to say, hey, I can have a profitable operation here if I can continue to attract business, deliver it with quality control and deliver it profitably, Now I have a practice.
In today's climate,
Mm.
why does staffing matter? Right? Why does staffing a CPA firm matter versus the way it used to be, where you're a CPA, I grow it, I can attract the clients, so then I'm a hire other CPAs and new CPAs and entry level accountants. Why is staffing and the outsourcing of staffing and even cloud IT, why does that matter for a CPA firm as it pertains to scaling?
Scaling is essential with to grow the business, and staffing is essential to scaling. And staffing is as hard as it's ever been if you try to follow the old traditional methods of doing so. If you look at how we've operated public accounting firms in the United States for the last 100 years, you followed a path where you became a junior accountant, you ascended through the ranks, and work was found and work was brought in at the firm level, and you couldn't duplicate that experience elsewhere. But the barriers to entry for CPAs have gone way down. A CPA can issue a review or an audit opinion or a financial plan or a budget analysis or any one of a number of kinds of services that the big firms offer. And they can do it with a very low barrier to entry. There's no investment in systems. Staffing is available. What's not available are employees to completely delegate to here in the United States. We don't have offices that people are willing to come into. You can hire people who will come in 5 days a week. If you can find people who will come in 2 days a week, you're lucky. You have to manage people in a different way.
Absolutely.
The cost of talent, because of the demands on CPA, are enormous. So finding somebody who's going to work under you for a fraction of the value of the work they're providing is very hard now. The good people are doing it on their own. And the good people who aren't honest are doing it on your own, claiming that they're working for you, and spending half their time on your work and then claiming there's problems with the setup of the job. It's insidious.
It is. It is. What did you see? And I'm a shift to cloud IT just for a second before I go to the scaling part, because I want to get that in there because we're talking about staffing. What did you see personally in cloud IT, and how did it affect your business? What did you see about the staffing, the workers, the people, and the work, the quality?
Yeah, so before I became a U.S. partner of Cloud IT, I've been a customer for years, and I've worked with Sam and his people. Remember, I'm a tax accountant. I'm a multifamily office guy. I do a lot of different things for high net worth clients. I am not an audit partner, and there are people who I work with who have a much stronger background in standard business accounting than I possibly can, given the fact I'm only one person. Sam has taught me a lot about how to run a accounting practice in terms of the monthly closing work, the EBITDA analyses, the cash flow planning. They do work as delegates of major accounting firms around the world that is of top quality, that has taught me. So even before pandemic, even before it became impossible, I consider it literally impossible to find quality staffing anywhere under a six-figure amount, and people will not stay once they see how an operation works that they could easily run themselves. So having the ability to have an organization that's already instituted its standard operating procedures, that has trained dozens and dozens of people every year, that operates as a fully functioning professional firm, is a huge benefit to me. Now, I'll tell you a personal story. I had a sad case where a tax manager upon whom I depended heavily
Uh-huh.
left me in December. That's a horrible thing to have happen. I could feel sorry for myself, but it was even worse for her because her father became terminally ill and she had to go out on family leave. So here I am left with all of a sudden, how am I going to fix this? I couldn't find a tax manager all of last year. I wasn't going to find one in December of 2023, but I already had this relationship, and this tax
Well,
for
that's it.
me went well and professionally. And when I needed an extra person, I got an extra person on demand. So I had accounting help, I had tax help, and I had virtual assistants as well. And it all went very well. It caused me to have to do my business differently, but I couldn't have done it without the company.
I love it. Do you feel like you're in a much better position in this climate? The gift and the curse about being a CPA and owning a firm is that you can work until you're 90, right? These days, nobody wants to work until they're 90, right?
I want to work until I'm 90.
Come on now, talk to them.
It's not work to me. And this, look, if what you're doing is fun, if what you're doing is intellectually stimulating, if what you're doing has a purpose, it's work. It's why people, there's this interesting thing. People who retire, sometimes they fade away and die quickly because they have no purpose. Sometimes people who work, you could work as a janitor until you're 90. You'll be in great physical shape. And if you like doing it, if you take pride in your work, it's nice and it's fun. So I get the fun part of this. I get to deal with clients. What's your goal, client? Where do you want to take your business? Tell me about your different revenue segments. Let's look into, what's profitable and what's not. And I don't have to deal with the crushing part of this business, which is feeling like I have to have X number of clients to get through my monthly budget. I'm attracting clients and being able to service them because I have scalability. I have trained people operating under trained people, both here in the United States and globally, where I have huge cost advantages. I have all of that at my disposal. I can get a tax plan done with the help of the professionals at CloudIT in the US and overseas. I can get any kind of financial statements done. Where it's most important to my mergers and acquisitions clients is that I can scalably put together a financial or legal due diligence team to look at 30 franchises results in the context of an acquisition of a large brand. And CloudIT brings that to the table for me. And the clients want to know, what do I know about CloudIT? I know from 7 years experience. So.
No, I love it. You brought up mergers and acquisitions, which is right, which is really the crux of this webinar. I'm a CPA firm. I'm starting to think about selling. I've had my firm for 10 plus years, maybe 15, a little bit longer. I'm starting to think about selling. I've been my own boss. What are some of the things that I need to take in consideration before I position myself to put my business out there for sale, to give myself the best multiple?
Okay. So I'm going to give you my view, and I think this is valid in today's world. Traditional CPA firm sales have been based on gross revenue of the firm.
Yes.
Gross revenue of the firm is a measure of the business of clients. In other words, you're buying accounts when you buy a firm based on the amount of revenue that they generate. And it could be a profitable activity. If you can service those accounts profitably, then it's certainly worth to pay 1 times revenue. However, firms sell for more than that these days, especially when they're not measured by that 1 times revenue. Why do they sell for only 1 times revenue? And depending upon the nature of disorganization of the firm, less than that?
Right.
Because you don't have good clients. clients who haven't been trained to get their work in, haven't been given a procedure to follow in terms of submitting data, haven't been onboarded properly, have been sold services where the scope has been miscalculated, and none of this has been necessarily put together the way that it needs to be put together. So what I have the opportunity to do with Cloud IT for my own firm and for client firms is to standardize operations, to have those operations conducted in a cost-effective manner, and to have profitable business. The most important thing for a CPA firm is to develop the expertise where they can attract business. And in today's environment, you can't get by without having some staff as part of the team. That's essentially what a buyer wants to see continue. But instead of having 10 US staff, 5 of whom are bored and the other 5 are marginally productive, you can have 2 super managers who can help conduct operations in the background, who could be compensated with a profit share, and who can be a mini entrepreneur within the firm. Now I'm buying a firm, which if you measure its value is not 1 times revenue, but now that firm is making 50, 55, 58 per dollar, as opposed to not making any money because of the cost of staffing and the reluctance of clients to pay a fair price. So it's based on EBITDA for accounting firms. Same thing that we calculate for clients is what we calculate for us, but EBITDA doesn't mean anything unless it's repeatable, unless it's a source of passive income, unless it's detached from the owner. So the first step for detaching the owner is to create and institute and run a system where the owner does as little as possible on the operating side and as much on the advisory and marketing side.
You just said something. You said a lot of things that I want to that I'm loving, and I find myself just sitting here being a student, even though I'm supposed to be interviewing you. But one of the things that I love that you said was a good client, right? Nobody talks about in this field bad clients, right? Because we look at the gross revenue, and a lot of times in this field, just like the lawyer field, in some cases, most people are clients out of necessity, right? So I'm in trouble, so I need you, right? And so those clients aren't necessarily trained, which in turns means that I have to take on your mess, right? And so are you selling because you're tired of that client, right? And you're stressed out, right? So even though the money's good, it's not always good money. So are you positioning yourself to build a system that removes you out the picture, and then I could, as a buyer, I can put myself in that picture. I can see myself, completely taken over, and nothing has changed, right? I'm just marketing, I'm consulting, right, or I'm doing that part. Where do most CPAs fail? And I don't want to get you in hot water by saying this, but where do most CPAs fail as they are just in their business and they're trying to settlement is a part of their mind, but they don't even see it. They don't even see a reason to sell. Where do they fail at?
Yeah, I think we've talked about really what the key error is. The key error is deciding that the value of your firm is going to be enhanced and measured by the amount of business you can bring in. It's not based on gross revenue. We all know, they had the old joke about the Penn Central. They were operating at a loss, but they made it up on volume.
Right.
CPAs understand that, but the public doesn't understand that. If you got a losing operation, doesn't matter how big it is. And private equity and VC and all the people that are starting now to operate to buy up CPA firms, it's the same kind of roll up that happened with medical practices, with funeral homes, with all of these aggregated industries. Aggregators are coming in. They want a good firm that'll run on its own. And they don't care whether you make 2 million instead of 1.5 million. They do, when they sample your files, want to make sure that you have profitable clients, good clients, clients where there isn't a liability. So it's quality control and quality of revenue.
Yes.
Really is the key to this.
What is client diversification come into play, right? Where does diversification of the client, a percentage of tax, a percentage of payroll, a percentage of bookkeeping, why does that matter? Why does that matter to a CPA firm?
Well, I think that there's a corollary to the diversification of a portfolio of stocks. I mean, we can do very well being in NVIDIA, but if something happens with the patents or something else, you could have a disaster. You don't want your real estate portfolio to be 100% in office buildings, or you'll be facing what the office building owners are facing. The CPA has a natural inclination to diversity, because when the client trusts the CPA as an advisor, the client's going to go for advice on audit, on tax representation, on personal wealth mapping, on compliance, on regulation, on segment profitability. All of this results in services that can be done by the CPA in conjunction with the right kind of staffing. And where we've gone in the 7 years that I've been with CloudIT is to go from excellence on the core tax and accounting functions to excellence on the higher level advisory support for the CPA. We deliver services. Most of them today are done through some kind of application. You have Fathom or LivePlan for financial analysis.
Yeah.
So having staffing that is trained to deliver that specific deliverable is far more valuable than somebody who knows general bookkeeping and reconciliation. Those jobs, even globally, have fallen victim to increased computer power and AI. But AI will never replace the kind of analysis of a client's affairs that you gain from understanding. It'll give you a checklist of what you may have forgotten, but it's not going to design the tax plan for the client. So the tax plan and all of these services flow, and in the end, that's the diversification that leads to less risk for the firm buyer.
It's the risk, absolutely. What role does leadership play and development into? Because I heard you speak about staffing and the and the importance of training staff. What role does leadership play as the owner? I'm getting started. I'm stressed out, right? I'm stressed out. Everything's coming. It's tax season. Tax, thanks goodness. It's the 15th. How do I lead a team as a CPA?
So the answer is that leadership is direction. Leadership functions in two ways. When we know the answer, we lead, we declare our mission, we get our mission known, we get our mission known with our coworkers, we get our mission known with our clients, and we try to get our mission known in the marketplace. Leadership, when we don't know what we're doing, is even as important because we say to the team, help, everybody needs to pitch together to find a solution. So when I'm in the middle of tax season and I'm banging my head against the wall and 20 hours a day isn't enough, I need to ask the staff for help. I need to look out and see what the right solution is. But the leadership comes in and saying, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. Come on, we're going to be successful. I believe it. I want to infect you with my enthusiasm.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so it is 12:30. I don't want to end. I don't. I told you that earlier. I sent you a message and I said, listen, I think I need to go a little bit more. I have a few more questions, if that's okay with
Yeah,
you.
I can keep going.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. Good. Okay. We are. I want to stay in the subject of selling. If I'm a CPA firm and now I'm just getting started, right? Are there specific steps I should do in the beginning that could save me a lot of trial and error and things that where I have to go back and change stuff? Put
If
system.
you're saying if you're a CPA just starting,
I'm just
hire an
starting.
accounting firm that runs the way it should. How's that? Okay.
Okay.
And honestly, it's the truth. Because if
Yes.
you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of clients. You don't
Right.
have the ability to attract clients in the marketplace. You don't have staffing. You don't have expertise. You got your own stuff that you're bringing to the table, but that needs to be nurtured and grown. Find an accounting firm. Let's even
Mm-hmm.
Cloud IT run it. Let
Mm-hmm.
take advantage of what's out there in the marketplace. Now, I'll give you a very important piece of advice. When you buy an accounting firm and you don't have a strong background, you want to retain those clients. You don't want to take the risk that you won't retain the clients because you're new. So you work a deal with the owner. And here's where intelligent negotiation comes in. Instead of saying to the owner, I'm going to pay 1 times revenue, I'll pay you 1.2 times revenue. I'll pay you 1.5 times revenue. But number one, you have to make a retention allowance for me. So if we lose clients, it's not coming out of my pocket. Number
Right.
two, you got to stay for a period of time. I'll compensate you. You know, you'll be a partner with me for the first couple of years, but I'm going to run on your coattails. You'll still be there. You'll introduce me to the client. You'll integrate me into the client, and
Mm-hmm.
we will make money. When you do these kinds, and there's several more in terms of how to structure that we at Cloud IT get into with clients, but you build a firm using the resources that you're buying and the resources that are out there. Without some kind of staffing support and guidance, you can't succeed. Um, and you have to have an answer because there are going to be people in any kind of firm on the staffing end who are going to leave. So,
Yes.
so the key when you are an established firm, you can buy accounts. You can buy a firm without regard to how good it is, because you're going to say to these people, I'm bringing you into, Chris, our partner, says, I'm bringing you into the Whalen umbrella.
That's
So,
exactly what it is.
so when you have the force and power of that kind of marketing and operations, then you're okay. When you don't have that because you're new, that's where, bringing somebody in like a Chris who runs a firm that's tight is what you'd be looking for primarily.
I'm going to ask you a fair question. What are some of the things, we both love Cloud IT. We're advocates of Cloud IT, obviously, and we want to help other CPA firms do it. What are some of the things that if you bring on a Cloud IT that as a CPA firm, I need to be aware of, I need to get better at, I need to, focus on, right? What are some, if I want to make this machine work and build this machine with remote staffing, what are some of the things that I need to do, probably personally as an owner, but then as a business to make this work?
Well, look, we're encountering a technological revolution in terms of how accounting services are delivered that we're all, whether we like it or not, following. The model in which we sat in an office and people came in and sat in the waiting room is gone. Because you can't get people to sit in the waiting room and you can't get employees to sit at the desk. And I'm not saying it's impossible. Of course, it's not impossible. We see it every day. But you used to be able to get 4 people. Now you can get 2.5 people for what you were paying the 4 people. Now you got to worry, oh my God, I can't spend 3 months training this person and then they don't like it and leave and spending another 3 months. Now I got to pay 100,000 for the EA, not 60,000 like I once paid, and hope that they're going to be, competent. So all of that is part of the equation.
When CPAs, I've heard when they hire, they've been introducing non-competes, right, in their clauses. What are some of the holes that CPAs don't realize when they bring people on and they make them sign non-competes and they still leave? What are some of the things that they can either they don't understand about the non-compete, or
So I'll put my legal hat on here.
there we go. Come on with it.
People don't understand that non-competes in the CPA field today are almost worthless. Why? All right. Because a non-compete from a legal standpoint has to be reasonable. And you can have a non-compete against your clients.
Right.
I mean, if we're talking about a non-compete in a geographic area where someone's not going to say, hey, you can't get that kind of thing anymore. We are in a global business. What's different now about where things were 20 years ago? This is truly a global business. If I can acquire a client in Europe, I can service them. If I can acquire a company overseas, I can service them. If that I can acquire a U.S. business at a client with overseas branches, I can handle all of that. I can handle transfer pricing. I can handle local jurisdictional. One of the things that CloudIT does is hires people as employees locally, works with local partners on compliance. So where you do have to have an employee presence, that also can be provided. We work on staffing issues where staffing has to be in place in the U.S. as well. All of these things are things that need to be handled, and thank God I can delegate many of them.
Awesome. One of the things I forgot to ask, where are you located, Martin? If people, we're going to be on YouTube, we're going to be, people are going to watch this, and they're going to say, just like I say, I want to work with Martin. That's what they're going to say. How can they get in touch with you? How can they find you? Where are you located locally? Tell us, how can we work with you if they want to work with you?
I'm in Secaucus, New Jersey. You can Google me. You can reach out to me. And if you tell me that you came through the webinar or through CloudIT, I'm happy to talk to you. I think CPA firm profitability is an amazing opportunity for CPAs. Steve, we talked about the fact that as an entrepreneurial activity, buying a CPA firm, buying a firm that does accounting and taxes and not doing it yourself is a great investment. And having a manager like CloudIT handle this for you gives you an opportunity to be like a mini hedge fund and run this financial services operation in some other state or around the world.
It does, because it generates an opportunity to roll up, right, and set tones to be able to say, hey, I want this type of CPA firm, and you can get them all and generate a very profitable cash flow, which is kind of my model, as we talked about. But no, Martin, it is 12:40. You have been everything that I've dreamed of, honestly, of just being who you are, and what you've accomplished, everything you've experienced. I appreciate you for doing this webinar. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your insight. If there's anything else you want to say to the people, there are people listening.
Yeah, Steve, can you put into the chat a link?
Yes, I can. Actually, I made you the host if you can,
Yes.
you might, yeah, because I think we were having trouble with your camera. Um, if you can actually,
So I think we're going to put this webinar on
it's gonna be
YouTube.
on YouTube. Yep. So it'll not only be in this chat. We do have Haley Barrett who I'll be talking to tomorrow. Can't wait to talk to you. Haley, if you have any questions for Martin, you can put it in the chat, and we can get those answered really quick if you have any questions. Um, but yeah, I think Martin is uploading the link now.
Yeah, if I could be a resource to anybody on this webinar or on YouTube, I certainly would love to talk to you. Steve, you can put the more demographic information on the YouTube in the
It's right
comments. But
there.
for this,
Perfect.
I'll give you
Okay.
permission.
It's right there, and then I will make sure that the demo and everything is put in the YouTube link, so that way in the description, so they'll have everything. But yeah, so is there any lasting thoughts?
Yeah, Steve, I just want to say, look, I'm Cloud IT saved me this year. Cloud IT has built my practice with me to where it's personally satisfying and profitable. If there's anybody who wants to hear more about my experience or anything more about CPA, management consulting, mergers and acquisitions, and how it involves global staffing, reach out to me. We haven't touched on this, but we're going to touch on in the future how CPAs can use cloud IT staffing on their own, not only in their practice, but for their clients as a solution and generate profits for themselves. It's all going to be subjects of future webinars, but I'm happy to talk about it now.
We're almost certain to do another webinar, and I want to call it Cloud IT, the staffing solution, right? The CPA staffing solution. So I want to talk exclusively there, right, and stay, because it's so much meat to pull out of that. So I do want to end it because people's attention spans are short. So I want to
because I could go on for another 3 hours. So you
I
say
could go on for longer than that. Listen to you. So no, Martin, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Can't wait to listen to this, and I can't wait to talk to you further. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one.